Larry and Joan, an older couple, were bickering in the car. They just couldn't agree on where to go for vacation. Irony of ironies, they were heading to their kid's place for a gender reveal party. Joan was battling terminal cancer, a secret they'd kept from their children. During the party, the family showed Joan an old photograph of her with her first husband, who died in a war a long time ago. Larry was looking at the picture when he suddenly started choking on a pretzel. Before anyone could help, he dropped and everything went dark. He woke up young again on a train. A kid in grown-up clothes sat across from him. The train stopped and he saw people getting off, so he followed. He landed in a big crossroads area and folks started handing him flyers. He asked where he was and they all just said his AC would spill the beans. Confused, he went to the front desk, but the lady there gave him the same answer. A few minutes later, a woman showed up and woke him up. "Anna," she said, introducing herself as his AC and afterlife coordinator. Larry was totally puzzled, trying to figure out what was going on when she held a mirror up to him. He was shocked to see his young face staring back. Anna explained that in the afterlife, people show up as their happiest selves. That's why some look like 10-year-olds. Larry still couldn't shake the feeling he was dreaming, so Anna gave him a gentle smack to prove he wasn't. He declared he needed to speak to God, but she said there was no God. She worked for a guy named Frank who worked for someone else and so on. This was just a pit stop, she said, between life and forever. He could pick his own eternity. Suddenly, an announcement blared, "Red door escape arriving, do not engage." Larry watched two cops grab a guy. Anna then showed him his room, handing him a stack of brochures for all sorts of eternities. She left him to choose whatever he fancied. He checked out the room, flipped on the TV, but it was just infomercials for eternities. So he went out and saw the place was packed with people hawking eternities. He headed to the bar. A woman there made a move on him. When he said he was married, she tried to sell him on her eternity. The bartender told her to lay off the sales pitches in the bar. Larry asked the bartender if he needed to get a job. Just if he wanted to stick around, the bartender replied. He asked Larry if he'd picked his eternity yet. Larry said he couldn't decide. He'd probably take the beach, but his wife might not like it. The bartender told him he could only pick one and had to stay there forever. If they tried to run, he said, they'd get caught and tossed into the void, a place with nothing but darkness. The next morning he woke up to find Anna there. She asked if he'd made a choice, but he was still lost. He asked if he could see his wife. He didn't want to go without her. She said it didn't work like that. Could he see those who died before him like his parents? He could, she said, but he'd have to live with them forever. He asked what he needed to do to stay here. She said he needed work, starting with a cleaning job in the basement. After a lot of thought, he decided he'd choose an eternity and set things up for Joan's arrival. It was kind of sweet, in a way. That night, he wrote a letter to give to Joan when she arrived. Meanwhile, back in the living world, Joan passed away, her family by her side. She then woke up on the train, young again. Before heading to his eternity, Larry gave Anna the letter for Joan, but Anna said he wouldn't need it. She'd take care of it. Larry was riding down an escalator when he saw Joan coming up. At first, he didn't recognize her, but then it clicked and he rushed to her. Joan went up to the crossroads, bumped into Anna, and asked what was happening. Anna simply said her AC would explain everything. Joan saw her younger self in the reflection and was stunned. Then she saw Larry and they embraced. Anna joined them. She playfully scolded him for being careless with the pretzels. Unlike him, Joan seemed to grasp that they were both gone. Larry then introduced her to Anna and told her about the eternities, how they could pick a place they liked. Just then another AC, Ryan, came over and told Anna to step away from his client. He then pulled Joan aside. He introduced himself and pointed out the bartender. It was Joan's first husband, Luke. She was completely floored to see him. Larry tried to jump in, bewildered by it all. Luke introduced himself and Larry understood but said Luke used to have a mustache. Luke replied that he did, but Joan never liked it, so he shaved it 67 years ago, waiting for her. The others found it romantic, but Larry tried to cut them off. Seeing her two loves, Joan felt overwhelmed. Ryan stepped in and said his client needed some time to decide. Joan still couldn't wrap her head around it. Ryan asked her to change. After she came out, he helped her with her makeup. Suddenly, a knock on the door. She opened it and Luke came in for a date. Ryan had set it up. He left them alone. Larry, meanwhile, was plotting with Anna on how to get Joan back. Anna was a bit out of the loop because she hadn't read his file like Ryan had. Larry felt sure Joan would pick him. They'd been together for 67 years and had kids. Luke and Joan were on their date, catching up. Suddenly, two cops burst in, chasing a man who'd escaped his eternity. One of the cops knew Luke and was thrilled to see him with Joan. Luke had become a legend for waiting for his love for 67 years. Joan asked why they were taking the man away. He tried to escape his eternity, Luke said. Once you choose, you can't leave. Joan felt it was too much pressure. Luke told her he loved her and had thought of her every day for all those years. He leaned in for a kiss, but Joan felt sick and said she needed time to think. She went back to her room and found Larry there, picking out which eternity they should go to. Joan said he couldn't make that call right now. She needed time to clear her head. To make her feel better, he told her to do a squat. She actually found it pretty fun, excited they could do all sorts of active things at their young age. Joan said she needed time to think. Larry said he got it, he'd give her some space, then went to bed. She threw him out. Larry couldn't open his door. Anna showed up and told him his 7 days were up, he needed to move to the basement. As she escorted him, he saw a poster of their favorite singer and asked Anna if she could book a performance. She was a bit surprised but said she knew him and would book a show. She then showed him his new, rather small room. Larry said he'd manage. The next morning, Larry went to Joan and took her on a date. Anna played music as the artist made his entrance. Joan was really impressed, but the singer was a bit sauced, and soon she realized it wasn't the real guy but an impersonator. She went to Anna to ask her. Anna confirmed it was an impersonator, which was why she'd looked surprised. Larry, frustrated, said she should have mentioned he was drunk. She apologized, taking the blame. The singer was causing a ruckus with Joan when Luke showed up and punched him. With Ryan's help, he tried to win her over, but Larry stepped in and they started arguing. Joan screamed at them to stop. She asked the two ACs to come with her. In her room, she laid into them, asking them to find a way to help her make the right choice. Some time later, Joan opened the door and called for her two husbands. Ryan and Anna told them they'd talk to their boss and arrange special permission. Joan could visit two eternities with her two husbands for a week and then choose based on that. But neither of the guys was happy about it and they started fighting. Larry even told Luke he didn't die in a real war, it was the Korean War. Soon they were brawling, but others broke it up and asked who wanted to go first. They'd flip a coin. Larry tossed it and Luke won. Luke and Joan were on a train. She tried to strike up a chat telling him about her kids and grandkids, but he wasn't interested. They arrived in the mountain eternity and enjoyed their time together. Larry and Anna were plotting how he could get Joan back. He asked Anna if Ryan could help them, but she said they had history so he wouldn't. Anna asked him how she ever fell in love with him, but he couldn't remember. Then he recalled that when Joan arrived, she mentioned her best friend Karen, who didn't like him, had also passed recently. Karen must know something. Joan and Luke were talking, and once more she brought up her children. Luke said he didn't want to hear it. He was glad she got to experience that, but he was also sad it wasn't with him. Joan said she thought about him every day too, but she had to move on. He then took her to the archive center where they could relive their memories. The attendant Fenwick told them not to touch anything and that they weren't responsible for emotional trauma. They went and saw the memory of their first meeting, their first date, and their first intimate moments. Joan got sad seeing the memory of when Luke left for the war. She said it was the worst day of her life. Suddenly, she saw Larry appear. Joan wanted to leave, but Luke stayed and watched as Larry proposed to her there while she waited for Luke's return. He used her grief, Luke saw, to win her over. Luke and Anna arrived at Karen's room. Larry was surprised to see her still looking old. She explained that after her husband died, she went on a retreat with a female friend, realized she was a lesbian, and it was the happiest time of her life. Larry told her everything and asked why Joan fell for him, but Karen couldn't remember anything specific. She thought it was because he always kept her happy. Hearing about Luke, she said he was a perfect guy. Larry, frustrated, said nobody was perfect and he'd find out about Luke. Luke left the archive center and told Joan that Larry was like a leech, using her sadness to marry her. She tried to tell him it wasn't like that, but he left. Larry arrived at Luke's room and Anna tried to stop him, but he went in and started searching the place. He found some racy pictures of women and some proof that Luke had been with other women. Suddenly, Luke came back into his room. Seeing Larry, he got angry and confronted him. He accused Larry of using his death to sway Joan and they got into a scuffle. While fighting, a letter fell from Larry's pocket. They both got tired. Larry told him he didn't betray him. Luke then asked why he proposed to Joan on the dock, but Larry couldn't answer. Joan was talking to Ryan, feeling overwhelmed by everything. He took her to a quiet spot. There were posters of closed eternities. She asked about them and he explained some were full, some had gone out of style. Joan asked him who she should choose. Ryan said he thought it should be Luke. She could live the life she missed in the mortal world, he said, but he couldn't choose for her. She should decide for herself. The next day, Larry and Joan went to the beach. It was super popular and packed with people. They tried to talk, but a kid threw a ball at them, so they got on a boat to chat. There, Larry apologized for not being with her when she passed. She said she was glad he waited for her. He said their kids would be happy knowing they were together. She tried to explain she was caught in an impossible situation. But Larry said Luke was in the past. They'd spent their lives together and should keep going. She felt overwhelmed and told him they should go back. Luke in his house found Larry's letter and read it. Back at the beach, Joan wanted to take Larry to the archive center, but Larry didn't want to go. They sat and Joan remembered their first date. She said he never let her feel down. Larry said she was broken back then, so he got strong for her. They embraced. They were back near her room kissing when Luke, Ryan, and Anna showed up. Ryan pulled out the letter, but Anna and Larry tried to grab it and Joan snatched it instead. She discovered that Larry was actually leaving and wanted her to come there after she died. Joan felt like he tried to trick her. Larry tried to explain he thought it was for the best. He angrily told her she was being selfish, trying to pick between them and ruining their long marriage. He said Luke wasn't perfect and told her about the pictures and the woman's number he found in Luke's room. Joan gets it, sometimes you just have to wait. It is what it is. Ryan's all like Luke's perfect, but Luke he just snaps, I'm not perfect, he yells, laying out all the rotten things he did while he waited for Joan. He admits messing up but says he stuck around and that's what counts. Both guys are itching for her to make a choice and fast. Ryan, bless his heart, clears everyone out so Joan can breathe. Luke and Larry hit the bar, sinking into their drinks. Karen finds Joan in her room and soon enough they're both tipsy, Joan spilling all her troubles. Meanwhile, Luke and Larry, equally sloshed, are bonding big time, even telling each other how great they are. Next morning, Ryan finds Joan rough around the edges but with her mind made up. Anna brings Luke and Larry to meet her. Joan tells Larry that when he died it felt like a nightmare, like she couldn't live without him. To Luke she says he was her first love and if he hadn't left they might have had a wonderful life. She's happy they both were in her life but everything ends and she's picking someone else. She's going to live here forever alone without either of them and then she's gone. The day comes and she leaves with Karen for their eternity. Luke and Larry sit around, reliving their old times with Joan. Larry tells Luke that he was the last person he saw before he died. His granddaughter was showing him their picture when he choked and fell. He's talking about their life together, then something clicks and he bolts for the station. Karen and Joan are chatting when Larry's at the window. Joan steps out and he says her hair's different. He never saw it like that when they were together, she cut it after Luke left. That tells him she was happiest with Luke and Larry feels she should go with him. He deserves the happiness he missed. It hurts him but knowing she's happy makes him happy too. She thanks him and leaves with Luke for the mountain world. Anna and Ryan are back together when Larry walks up. Ryan takes off and Anna tells Larry he made the right call. She wasn't happy in the mortal world. When she got here she thought she could help a lost soul but she lost her way just dealing with one client after another. She thanks him for reminding her what she's here for. She asks if he's chosen his eternity. Back in the mountain world, Luke and Joan are loving life, meeting people, getting close, trying new things, but Joan feels like something's missing. One night she goes to the archive to revisit her time with Larry. They're on an adventure but she's just not into it. She tells him to go on without her and she heads to the archive to see her memories with Larry. The person working there tells her it's not good to keep coming back, that she'll just get stuck in the past. Luke's planned an adventure for them but she says she can't do it anymore. Luke's not happy and she says coming here was a mistake. He's great but Larry was always there making sure she was happy. Luke's getting worked up saying they're finally living the life they lost and she's going to throw it all away. He tells her he knows about her archive visits but kept quiet because he just wants her to be happy. She says she can't live here. Luke says she can't leave, they'll put her in the void, but she says she'll try anyway. Luke walks off. Joan's practicing how she'll grab the archive worker to get into where the red door is. That red door will take her back to the junction. Luke shows up and says it won't work, he'll help her. Then he starts fake crying saying Joan left him and hugs the worker. Joan slips into the room. The worker tries to calm Luke down by sharing his own story, but Luke says it's fine and goes inside. He tells her to hurry, and with a last goodbye she steps through the red door. Alarms blare and guards chase after her. She sees a bunch of memories flash by, one of them showing when they told her Luke had died. She goes inside and ends up at their old house seeing Larry and old memories. She finds her younger self in a room. She grabs her hand and shouts, "Larry, the police are coming," so she runs and squeezes through a hole, landing in a train tunnel. She makes it to the station and asks the receptionist where Larry went, but the receptionist says there are thousands with that name. She needs to be more specific. Suddenly, her picture pops up as a fugitive. She runs and the receptionist alerts the guards. She bumps into Ryan and Anna. They hide her and send the guards the wrong way. She asks them for a safe place. They tell her to go to a closed eternity, it'll be risky but no one looks there. She asks where Larry is. Hearing this, Anna is thrilled. Joan then goes to the bar. The same woman tries to come onto her but the new bartender Larry tells her no selling inside. Seeing Joan, he stops cold. After the woman leaves, he asks where they're going to go. She says she knows a spot but it'll be risky. But Larry's ready. They head into a closed eternity to live out their lives together forever. You've just watched the recap of the movie Eternity 2025. Thanks for watching and check out our other videos.